Good evening. Happy Wednesday to you all. Welcome into the Rec Room Sports Hub's weekly baseball show around the diamond. I am Alan Perales, AP for short. Joined, of course, as always, by the pride of Louisiana / South Texas, Mr. Jonathan Grishman. Jonathan, welcome in. Happy Wednesday. Great to see you on this Wednesday evening, sir.
Always good to see you, Alan. Always good. And
Yeah. Obviously, our third is not here tonight. As many of you know, Scott has a lot going on in his personal life right now. So, thoughts and prayers, of course, out to him and his family, of course, his wife as well. So, thoughts and prayers to him. He may or may not hop on, but if he doesn't, obviously, we know the reason why. So, um, it's kind of a shame too, because I'm sure you wanted to talk to him about this past weekend series with his Red Sox and your Braves. So, uh, you know,
especially since he did kind of start off when we lost the first game, he kind of wanted to talk a little bit. So I wanted some response afterwards, but no, for sure. As always, Scott and his family is in our prayers and making sure everybody, his wife and all are healthy and doing well.
absolutely, absolutely. So we'll start right off with the a segment we kind of not necessarily started last week, but something we've been doing off and on here and there. But it's kind of become a regular segment is our weekend series preview. Last week, obviously, was the White Sox Cubs, and lo and behold, the White Sox took that series. So it's interesting, uh, interesting uh, concept there. And well, this week it's we talked about this last week, Jonathan. The American League has not been great. It hasn't been good at baseball. You have literally two good teams in the AL right now, and ironically, it's the two we're going to be talking about today because it's a big matchup. It's a big matchup. Tampa Bay goes to New York to play the Yankees. First place essentially on the line. The Yankees have been battling a lot of injuries lately, especially in the pitching staff with Max Fried being out for a bit. Rays have been playing very, very well. They've been playing their style of baseball all season long and got a big comeback. I believe they came back to beat Baltimore today. Um, but yeah, this is a big series between Tampa Bay and New York as they head into a division clash with first place essentially on the line right now.
Yeah, this is a statement series if you're the Rays, because again, like we talked about it last week. This is a franchise and a team that they're playing above expectations, and nobody really saw them being the front runner of the AL East, and they've turned it really into a two-team division chase right now with everybody else at least 12 to 13 games back. It's really between the Rays and Yankees right now, and so if you're the Rays and you're going to the Bronx and you can take this series away, you supplant yourself as the best team in the American League, and I don't think it's close. They are the most fun, and I'm throwing it throughout all of baseball. The Tampa Bay Rays are the most fundamentally sound team there is. They do everything, and what I love about it too, the baseball coach in me, they are doing it old school, anti-analytic, because they are brought back bunts. They have brought back hit and runs. I mean, they're saying we have speed. We're going to use our speed. We're going to create chaos. We're going to do things that baseball has gotten away from over the last decade. And you don't know how to stop us because nobody's practiced it anymore. And they have created this absolute chaotic style of baseball, and it's fun. Who would have thought the fundamentals can be fun in baseball again, in Major League Baseball? So this is a huge weekend for both sides, and I'm kind of been talking more about the Rays right now at the beginning part. But if you're the Yankees, with the injuries that you've had, with the inconsistencies that you've had, you need this series more than the Rays need this series. It would be great for the Rays to take at least 2 of 3. But if you're the Yankees, you need to take this series and really to kind of put yourself in saying, hey, like, yes, you're the hot team, Tampa, but this is our division. We are the big bad Yankees, and that's what's been missing from in the Bronx for many years, where people feared the Yankees. They don't fear this team. They don't fear this part of the organization that we know them to be right now in this generation of Yankee baseball. It's not what they used to be. You have Aaron Judge, yes, but there's no one else that you can sit there and go, I'm terrified of them beating us. You do have Garrett Cole coming back this week. Great for the pitching side. How's he going to handle being, after over a year of pitching in the big leagues? How's he going to, how long does it take for him to ramp up and be what, we know him to be? That's the big question. But as far as for this series, this is a must-win series here in May 20th, the week of May 20th on Wednesday, going into this series for the Yankees and Rays. This is a must-win series because if you allow the Tampa Bay Rays to come into the Bronx and win that series and create, let's just say, a 5-game lead on you, you talk about demoralizing mentality that hits that team and that franchise right now. Again, it's not the season's over, but you've allowed a franchise like the Rays to go in and build this momentum, and they're just going to play with house money all year because no one picked them to win this division. That makes them scary and even more dangerous than what they've been able to do so far. So it's going to be a fun series. It's very, very different teams, very different characteristics. But I think that's what's going to make this even more fun. And I will probably tune in if I can get a chance. If MLB has the games on streaming service or whatnot, or on national TV at some point, I want to tune in to see this because I think this is going to be fun and interesting to watch the Rays play, how they play, their style of play. Kevin Cash continues to be an underrated manager, and you have the Yankees who are trying to figure out how to stay healthy, but at the same time is just find their mojo and be the Goliath that you're supposed to be in baseball that you haven't really been. And even their World Series here a couple of years ago, they weren't really that feared team. It was just they got hot that time. When are you going to be that team that just puts the fear in the American League? I don't see them having that. That's why we're seeing here right now that the Rays are the class ahead of them right now.
Mm-hmm. And the pitching matchup's kind of intriguing too, because you have an underdog story in Nick Martinez, who's having a really good year, 4-1 in 9 games started, 151 ERA. He's been pitching very, very well for Tampa Bay this year. Part of the reason why they've had such success this season against, of course, as you mentioned, the prodigal son coming back to the lineup after being out for over a year, Garrett Cole getting the nod on Friday as well. That's an interesting pitching matchup in game 1, I believe, which is on Friday night between these two clubs.
Yeah, and again, I think the eyes are going to be as what's the pitch count for Garrett Cole? Obviously, there's going to be a pitch count. They're not going to let him just unleash and throw 100 pitches. So what's the pitch count? And then can your offense do something? Again, as you said, Nick Martinez has been having a great season so far. 1.51 ERA, 35 Ks. He's 4-1. He's pitched phenomenal, and he just goes out and does his job. So if you're the Yankees, you have a pitch count on Garrett Cole. This is going to be a pressure. This is really the game for the offense now for your hitters to get run support early, create a lead, and let Cole work till his pitch count hopefully goes 4 or 5 innings in that count, and then be able to turn over to the bullpen with that lead that's comfortable enough to where you can just go and do your job. That's the plan for the Yankees to do. If they can be able to create that opportunity, the separation, and let Cole just go pitch and try to get a groove. Otherwise, if you're talking about a close game and you're turning the ball over to the bullpen of the Yankees, that's going to be kind of scary for them. So I think this series is going to sway toward the Rays, just because again they're healthier, they're talented, and they know who they are. We don't know what the Yankees are. We have no clue. There's so much turmoil with this team, and that's a problem if you're a contender. If you're supposed to be a contender and you don't know your identity, you're going to struggle, which is what the Rays have been able to achieve because they know what they are. They're a fundamentally sound team. They just go play ball, and they utilize their speed. They're one of the fastest teams in baseball, and they just go. They know it, and they know how to use it, and they execute to the perfection at times to make them win ball games.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like you said, they're playing that old school way of playing baseball, which not many people are used to seeing anymore. So it's been, and remember, the Yankees got caught off guard by it once already this year against Tampa Bay, where they bunted them to death. It was funny.
and that's where you have the where a lot of teams in baseball right now, the positionless players and like the Padres being one of them, but the Padres basically say we're just going to draft we're going to draft or sign all shortstops and put them all throughout the field, and just say we have athletes out there. The Yankees are kind of that same way. Jazz Chisholm goes and plays second base and third base, but Jazz Chisholm, throughout his time when he was in Miami, he was an outfielder. He's just an athlete that could play those spots. So you have these guys, and they did the same thing. You had with DJ LeMahieu. LeMahieu was a utility guy for many years for them in the Bronx. You have players that are not true position players to go play spots. So when you have a team that does want to take advantage of that, like the Rays, you get situations that you get yourself into that you don't know how to dig yourself out. And that's where it kind of goes, again, the fundamental side of the game has been missing for many years because the analytics say it's not necessary. That's why I'm a fan of the Rays right now, because they just say, yes, we do use analytics, but we're going to take advantage of everybody else who uses it because nobody really thinks or plays this style of baseball anymore. We're just going to go back, turn the clock back a little bit. We know we have such a fast team. We know we have guys that can run. We're not going to outslug teams. They're not going to sit here and say we're just going to try to go and out home run teams like how we've seen them for the last decade, where if you have the most home runs, you win games that way. They know they're not going to do that. So they're going to go play good defense. Their pitching is going to give them a chance, and they're going to score some runs enough to where they can go and win ball games that way. Very fundamental, in a way, old school baseball.
Mm-hmm. Does not show who the Yankees have going Saturday and Sunday, but they got the Rays have Rasmussen going Saturday and Shane McClanahan going on Sunday. So interesting. You basically have your three best pitchers if you're Tampa Bay for this series. Your first two guys combined 8-2 on the season, and then of course McClanahan is 5-3. So you essentially have your best arms coming up at the best time against this Yankees lineup.
No better way to prepare for a big division series than having your horses ready to go. So it'd be curious to see what the Yankees do. Obviously, again, there's too many moving parts in their rotation, and trying to figure out who's going to go with the injuries they've had, and having to send some guys down. It's one of those where you kind of wish you would have seen Cam Slitter go in this series, just because how good he's been for the Yankees. It's not his turn; more likely not going to be his return in the rotation in this series for it. So that's kind of what we kind of wish. We hopefully at some point down the road we'll get to see Cam pitch against the Rays, but. If you're the Rays, you're happy that this is how the rotation played out for you going into the Bronx.
Another interesting series I want to highlight here real quick. We don't have to spend too much time on it. Dodgers and Brewers. Brewers have been getting hot as of recently. Obviously, everybody in the NL Central has been playing great baseball, but this is the first time the Brewers have had kind of sole possession of first place in the division for a while. For a while, since like the early part of April, and now here they are going at home. It's kind of one of their first big tests of the season with the Dodgers coming into town.
Yeah, and again, talking about a must-win type of series, just kind of put yourself in the upper echelon with the Braves and Dodgers, and I know Padres are really up there with the Dodgers, and a bad choke job by the Padres in a tie ball game last night. But for the Brewers, you want to make sure that you keep yourself in the groupings of the top teams in the NL. You have to take care of business against the Dodgers. I think we're starting to see them again. We know we talked about the Astros for so many years, that the culture built in that organization. You just know at some point they'll get it figured out. They'll turn it on. They're going to start winning games again. The Brewers are that same in the NL Central. Where they were I think a few weeks ago, we're talking about 3 weeks ago, they were in last place. Mm-hmm. They were a last place team in the Central. They were like, that's not real. The Brewers are going to come back and really start winning games and figure it out, because the schedule's going to lighten up a little bit for them. They're going to play good baseball. Everybody else in that division, yes, they're playing good, but are they really good enough right now? I don't know. So, and I think with the Cubs being too inconsistent with the win streak and then lose and then win streak again, but they lose a handful of games. At some point you can't be that streaky if you're going to be a contender. And that's something the Cubs have shown that, they're not that team. They're not consistent yet. So at some point the reality check sets in the NL Central, where the Brewers are the class of this division, and they have been able to jump back up 8 of 2. They've won 8 of the last 10 that they've played. Everybody else has been kind of just back under 500, under 500, marks in their games so far, and you're just kind of seeing, well, it was fun first month of the season, a month and a half, but the Brewers are who they are. So if you want to be a contender in the NL, because right now the Braves are the Braves, the Dodgers you can't count out as far as because of the championship pedigree. They've been 2-time World Series champions, back-to-back World Series champions. The Padres have shown that they can play. They're good. If you're the Brewers, you got to take care of business with this series. This has got to be a playoff atmosphere type of series for you. You have to take it to where it's going to be like you can't forget us. It's not a 2-team, NL race for the pennant. The Brewers have to be taken seriously. If you take care of your business, you can be in that conversation. If you let the Dodgers just bully you, you're a division leader that's going to be participating more than contending.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Right now, currently, the Brewers have a 3-0 lead over said Chicago Cubs in their game right now. That game is, I believe, just ended the second inning, about to go into the third inning. One game that's in a rain delay right now. You got the Blue Jays and Yankees waiting to get started. It looks like Schlittler's going to be starting tonight if the game is able to play on. So he might not be able to play that Tampa Bay series, which is kind of a huge letdown if you're a Yankees fan, because you like to have him for that matchup.
I mean, if that game gets banked, if it gets rained out, you're not moving Cole back. You put him in that position to start game one, and you're not going to say, well, hey, we're gonna move you back to start. It's more likely Cole gets game one. If that game tonight in New York does not play, Schlitter pitches Saturday then, and he's going to have a little bit extra rest to go into that. And now we have a series that's going to be very intriguing with Garrett Cole and Cam Schlitter as 1 and 2 punch for the Rays, while they throw Martinez and Rasmussen on Friday, Saturday as well.
Mm-hmm. So some finals here from today that we can go through. Reds beating the Phillies 9-4. Obviously, that helped your Atlanta Braves out a lot. Tampa Bay did come back and beat Baltimore. That was a 5-3 game there. Twins beating the Astros. Astros continue to kind of fall apart. Rangers coming back to beat the Rockies in the 9th inning. Diamondbacks beating the Giants today. Mariners getting one over on the White Sox, who've actually been playing pretty good baseball as of late. But only one game above 500, but they did get 2 out of 3 from the Cubs. I think they have another series with the Cubs coming up here pretty soon. And then the Guardians, of course, are really not that far off. Only 6 games above 500. They're down 1-0 to the Tigers right now in the 7th. So, looking at the playoff picture, just because of how bad the American League has been, you have a 1 game above 500 White Sox team and a 1 game below 500 team in the Texas Rangers, who would be playoff teams if the season ended today. Man, it's hard. The White Sox seem like they would be. They're kind of like, I think Scott mentioned it last week. They're kind of like what the Miami Marlins usually are. Is that sneaky good team that can, you don't necessarily think they're going to beat you 2 out of 3 games, but that one loss you take is a brutal one at times. So,
I don't know how to think of the White Sox right now. I don't. And credit to you. You kind of talked about them as a team that can be sneaky. So credit to you, Alan, on that one. I don't know what to really think of this team. Just because the whole division is the whole division's bad. The AL Central is, we talked about last year. It was a competitive division, but 2 years ago it was the worst division in baseball. And I think we went from being competitive to now being back to what it is. It's the worst division in baseball. So That's what I'm kind of looking at and go, how do I view the White Sox? Where are we at with them on the evaluation status? I don't.
Although, in their fairness, I think the AL West has something to say about that because we don't even have a team above 500 right now. So,
Yes, but I mean, okay. So let me change the word here. Then I think this is the most disappointing division.
yeah, I would say.
Because we talked about the Tigers being a contender. We said the Royals were going to have a bounce back year this year. The Guardians were the class of the division, but they're not playing like it either, though. So like I think you're correct. The AL West is the worst division in baseball. The AL Central is the most disappointing because I think we were expecting to be more, better competition, better competitiveness, not just flirting with each other at the 500 mark. And I think that's where I'm seeing, like, it's just who's going to make a move first? Who makes the move to just say we're going to start being the better team? I don't know who's going to do that. This is a division that's going to be a one and done. Whoever wins this division is and gets the postseason. I don't see them being hot enough or good enough. As much as I down talk the AL as a whole, they're not going to do any. This nobody knew if it's the Tigers, Guardians, Royals, whoever, White Sox. They're not going to do enough to make noise in this division in the postseason. So that's what I'll say. I agree. The AL West is the worst, but the AL Central for sure is the most disappointing.
And then it's not like the Guardians don't have anything going for them. It's just like you have good talent there, but then you got guys like Tanner Bybee who kind of bring the club down a little bit every time he steps out. Although he's pitched good today. He only gave up the one run. Usually he gives up like a home run or two every time he goes out there. But there have been some disappointment. And like you said, this is basically the division of disappointment. Although, can we really say it's a disappointment in the White Sox when they were already bad to begin with?
I mean, as a whole, I mean, the White Sox are making it competitive. But again, the three teams that we said we're going to have a good season bounce back are not doing it. And the Guardians, I know the Guardians are 6 games up, but I think we had a little bit more expectations for the Guardians. I know we for sure had better expectations for the Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
To at least be better and competitive. I know Skubal going down does hurt that, but yes, the White Sox making it a more competitive as far as just deeper, like you're having 3 teams, 4 teams, being around each other. But that's why I say they're flirting with the 500 mark. We're not talking about 4 teams that are above 500 that are looking like they're stud teams. They're just there right now. So that's why I think disappointing is the right word for this division. As much as they're going to battle and contend with each other, you put them in against other teams, it's not going to be good. It's going to be ugly when it's all said and done.
Detroit and Kansas City are tied for dead last in the American League Central right now. The Twins are 2.5 games ahead of them, and they're 7.5 back of Cleveland in the division. So, and right now Kansas City is trailing Boston, who again the Red Sox themselves have not been playing well. Kansas City, though, they're probably the biggest disappointment because like we said, we both expected them to kind of bounce back this year. They're 9-20 against teams above 500. That is not a good record to have against good competition if you're the Royals.
No, and you're now. I almost don't want to do this just yet because I know we still have a few more. Like we still have a long time, but you're almost kind of looking at Bobby Witt Jr. as the Mike Trout of the Royals because you had 1 year of making it to the playoffs and being a good team. And then since you haven't capitalized, if you're the Royals, you haven't capitalized on a superstar that you have in your organization to continue to build around him and build a team that's going to be super competitive to win a division and a chance to compete for a World Series. I think it's early for me to kind of make that comparison, but it's almost getting that feel where the Royals understand they have their everything's at their disposal with Bobby Witt being there. But what are you doing to make your team better? They haven't done anything. And I think that's where you're going to sit back and look at the Royals and say, there's a lot to be desired. They're not in being a last place team with one of the best players in baseball. You're kind of looking at you're the central version of the Angels right now.
Essentially. So we started a conversation last week towards the end of the show that was really supposed to be the main focus, but we kind of sidetracked on that, especially when we got to talk about the American League. But the day of the show last week, we had a little bit of good news. Players and owners, Players Association and owners started actually having conversations with each other about, open discussions on the new CBA and whatnot. Which, of course, as many people know, the CBA ends this season at the end of the year, the 2026 season. A lot of people feel like if nothing gets done, MLB is going to go on a strike for 2027, and it could not. It probably isn't good, but I'll pose this question. This is kind of the headline question that we had that I put in our group chat is conversation a good thing right now between MLB and the Players Association? Is it a good thing for baseball in 2027?
It can't hurt. I mean, because again, as we said, you have new leadership with the union right now, with the players' union, with Tony Clark's embarrassing resignation and how a lot of things were behind the scenes not good. So you have new leadership, basically trying to establish a conversation of where everything stands, and that's essentially what it was. That's why I say I'm not going to sit here and say this was great news, because nothing transpired out of the conversation. You're going to have the new leadership come in, meet with the owners, meet with Manfred, and go, where are you guys at? Where is the line? This is where I'm aware of what our line is with the players. Where are y'all to where we can get in the middle as close as possible, and we'll find a way where we can get to the middle as close as possible. The problem is they're still so far apart in any kind of conversation with the CBA that it can be encouraging they talked, but I'm not going to sit here and say this is great. This is great news, great start, because obviously nothing transpired, nothing came out of it. Everybody's still in the same spot. They haven't moved an inch from where they were from the talking points and the battles that are going to be taking place throughout. I think they're still so far away. Now, there's supposed to be more talks planned out, which that's encouraging. If you have more conversations throughout before December 1st, and you're finding ways to at least close the gap that you have, now we're going to sit here and say this is good. I just don't know if there's going to be enough ground made up between the two, because the owners are so dead set on salary cap. The players are so dead set on no cap. That is the big give. That's the big line. Neither are going to budge from those. I just don't know how you resolve this. I really don't. So, and then you also have to talk about revenue sharing. I think that's another talk about how does revenue get divided up better, where those teams can spend money with the money that they're bringing in. But again, now we're talking about the pie being divided up amongst the 30 MLB teams, which potentially is going to be 32, because that's also going to be part of the CBA talks here, is the expansion of MLB to 32 teams. Now you're going to divide that pie up another two slices. Where do you get where does the revenue share kind of get equaled out a little bit better for teams like the Pirates, like the Rays, like the A's, which I think at some point here we can eliminate the A's from this conversation once they go to Vegas, and the revenue that they're going to stream out of that area is going to put them in an echelon that they've never been in. So at some point, I think we can really we'll be able to stop talking about as the A's being a small market team going to Vegas and really benefiting tremendously to that area. But like I said, for the Pirates, for the Rays, for these small market teams, how do we help them make money to spend money without a salary cap and a salary floor? We've already found ways of saying, well, hey, there has to be there has to be some line where teams have to spend some money, but it's not a hard line. That's the problem. And if the owners are sitting here saying, well, if you're gonna tell us that we need a salary floor, we need a salary cap too, which then at that point goes to money, that revenue being pocketed by the owners still more, and that money that's being cut from the players because the $700 million contracts will cease to exist, obviously. So you're cutting money from the players and by a salary cap. So that's where now you talk about revenue sharing for the players. How do they get more of the pie then? Because that's the only way that you're going to make them happy if they take a salary cap is we'll give you more revenue share. We'll give you more revenue. We'll give you a bigger piece of pie. 50-50 is going to have to be what it is. Obviously, the owners will never go above 50. It's going to be 50-50 split. It's not that right now. So if you entice it to say we'll do 50-50 split or a 51.1 to 49.9 split, some just I'm throwing out there, you can find a way to make some players happy that you're going to get more revenue, but it's not going to be enough though. Like the hard line at the end of the day for both sides is the salary cap that the owners want, the salary cap the players don't want. I'm not encouraged. I just to answer the question again, it's a positive, but until I actually see and hear that there's in-depth conversation and ground is moving on both sides, I'm not optimistic still.
So where would be the cutoff date for that to be a positive or a negative throughout the season? Like say we hear that they're getting closer and closer, like just before the All-Star break. Would that be like the cutoff date to where it's
Yes.
like if it's after the All-Star break, then we're still kind of worried about a baseball season. But if it's before, we're like, okay, well, I feel better about this.
You're looking from the All-Star break to the beginning of postseason, the end of regular season. That's your window. That's where like it really needs to pick up. And talks need to be moving in the right direction in that window. Because the moment you go to the postseason, you're not having any conversations. The union's not going to talk because they understand at this point the leverage it's about leverage at that point. You have October that you don't. The last thing you want if you're Major League Baseball is to distract the fans from postseason play. And any CBA talk at that point is going to be a distraction from postseason. So more than likely, there will be no conversations reported. Now they might have some behind the scenes, closed doors meetings, and they won't leak it to the press, to the media, which we know how that works. Social media is now the media, so anytime somebody does something, it may get posted about it, or whatnot. But you're going to probably not have any meetings all of October going into November, which is how long the World Series usually kind of goes to the beginning of November. And then that leaves you essentially with a 2 to 3 week window before the CBA expiration December 1st. So your key area is All-Star break to the end of the regular season. That's when things really need to progress and shift. If they're talking and there's ground moving and you're kind of getting some things like put in play that your positive signs, you could have then some conversations take place in the postseason here and there, but it won't be like it's not going to be again. It won't be reported or anything like that. Unless they have a deal done. Then they're like, well, hey, great, let's celebrate this while we also have postseason play going on. That I think the window has to be the second half of the season, and only in the second half is when we need to make sure we have good news. Otherwise, we're not going to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's that fine line, especially when we're like deep into the month of September and we haven't heard anything yet. That's going to be like, here we go.
Absolutely, and again, like you talking about such. That I think that needs to be brought to the attention of everybody involved in this. This year has been such a good year. When you had the World Baseball Classic and the amount of energy that brought to baseball around the world, you have the season going on right now, and you're having good numbers so far. And I say that I say that with a little bit of information as far as just how this streaming service broadcasting is going right now, without knowing the numbers fully. But you're getting more fans involved. I think that's been a very positive. You're finding ways to get more fans involved. Still, you're growing the game. Why are you allowing, if you're the owners and I'll even throw the players, as much as I will always support the players, there's got to be a line of we can't afford to lose momentum of what we've been able to gain with the popularity by a lockout looming behind us. Because the 94 strike damn near killed baseball. We had the CBA lockout, I think it's two CBA lockouts in the last 20 years since two.
Mm-hmm.
You're killing any chance of popularity growth in this country by these continuous battles. And I will, as much as I'll support the players. I blame the union, and I blame Tony Clark. And I'm so glad Tony Clark's out, because he's the biggest sole reason why the players union is the weakest it's ever been in the history of Major League Baseball Players Association Union. And that's why we're in the position we're in right now, that the owners are just sitting there saying, if we lock out, we lock out. You're going to have to come to us.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They gotta agree on something. If they want to have baseball next year, they're gonna have to agree on something. It's gonna suck, because like you said, Jonathan, no side wants to give up any kind of ground here. But if they want to get a deal done, and if they want to play baseball in 2027, somebody's gonna have to cave.
Yes, but it can't. If you're the players union and you're the one that caves, you're setting yourself back financially for the rest of baseball. You'll never get this back. That's why I do understand why the players are fighting this so much, because they understand that the power they lose from this. And I get it that, well, hey, a salary cap works for the NFL. The salary cap works for the NBA. It works for the NHL. It works for those. That's fine. But the problem with that is those sports have equal revenue share from national broadcasting that does their games. Fox, CBS, NBC, ESPN for the NFL. ESPN, TNT for NBA. I guess NBC's now NBC, ABC in the NBA. Major League Baseball does not have that. They get ESPN, yes, they get TBS, but they're not on there all the time. They're based off of the regional networks, and they make money based off of the regional ratings that they get, and that's it's then the national ratings and the revenue that gets divided up equally, but everybody else has their own pie based off of their own ratings from the region. So you cannot compare what NFL gets, what MLB gets, and think that this is going to work. It's not going to work. Not for Major League Baseball, unless you find ways to make it more national based with the broadcasting. And I get the argument. I've had this argument before. Well, you have games in the NHL and the NFL that are regional based. Like depending on what region you're in, you watch this game. If you're in a certain region, you watch this game. Yes, but Fox is the Fox is a national channel. Mm-hmm. CBS is a national channel. So it's still and they all divide that up equally. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm. That and the NFL is kind of the more enticing product than what the NBA and MLB are as well. So it's like, because I saw this the other day, because this came after somebody commented about this after the Spurs Thunder game one. Is like, this is why this is why basketball has such great ratings, stuff like this. And then somebody made a comment is like, if we had said you know why the NFL is king is because if we had the Jets playing the Cardinals on the same day as Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, more people would still watch Jets Cardinals because it's the NFL.
Yeah. Yes,
So,
you're correct. But that's why I say the popularity of the sport for baseball being it's in the right direction. You cannot afford to lose any momentum you've gotten this year. Again, the World Baseball Classic was phenomenally done this year, and you've gained so much momentum in growth that a looming lockout, all it's going to do is just persuade fans to just go away.
Yep, 100%. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting couple months. I know next week's going to – well, not next week, but here in a couple weeks will be our May top 10. And we got All-Star game coming up in a couple months. Like we mentioned before, it just seems like it's been going by so fast. I've enjoyed the season.
We're already 50 games into the season already.
It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling that we're already this far into the season. Again, the American League has not been the best, but it has made for some entertaining baseball at times. Although, if you want entertainment, you could just watch the Mets give up a inside the park grand slam against Washington the other night. It's like, oh, so really, it's only the Mets can give up an inside the park grand slam, which is nuts.
Couldn't happen to a better team.
Fair enough. We actually did see, I forgot what team it was. There was an inside the park home run today. Brewers got one. Brewers got one off the Cubs, I think.
Braves just got one just now, actually.
Wow. Okay, there you go.
And here, I'll say before you look it up. Guess the player for the Braves that did the inside the park home run.
Is it Mauricio Dubon?
It's not Dubon.
It's not Dubon? Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. It's this guy. Congratulations on your inside the park home run, Scott.
You just watched the beginning of the show. I had a few minutes I want to hop on. Congratulations, Jonathan, your Braves. Much respect. Much love. But Tanner Dawson, we're on to you now, buddy. How are your Royals doing this week against the Red Sox?
Well, Tanner don't need to watch what we were talking about earlier.
Do you need a hug? Do you need a hug, Tanner?
I think everybody in the American League Central needs a hug. Listen.
It's bad to lose to the Braves, but when you lose to a guy named Yastrzemski, it's even worse. So
it's no. Now that come on, that's just poetic.
I know it is. I know.
What was the line that Billy Bean said in Moneyball? How could you not be romantic about baseball? That is it right there. A walk-off single by Yastrzemski against the Red Sox.
Why can't the Red Sox get guys named Yastrzemski? Oh, we already had one of them, so we don't need another. See you later. But yeah, I got a few minutes, so I figured I'd hop on and talk baseball with you guys. Take my mind off some things. So.
Scott, we were talking about just a moment ago that the cutoff date with these conversations between the players union and the owners, somewhere around All-Star break to the start of the playoffs, around that time period, to kind of get things going. Are you in the same boat as like if we don't hear anything by then, in that little time frame, are we looking at maybe no baseball in 2027?
Yep, I would say so because, again, playoffs start and you're looking at a time crunch, basically. I mean, you're really looking at a time crunch. You're looking at what? Playoffs start what? October? Beginning of October, I think. So you're looking at October, November, December, January. You're looking at about 4.5 months, 5 months. So you're on a time crunch to get everything done. Now, I know there's new minds in the negotiations, new thoughts, new whatever, but you're going to come up with the same result, I'm afraid. which is what we've been saying, what me and Jonathan, you've been saying for the last, 6 months to a year? No baseball. And that the game has some momentum right now. The game has, I know the game has gone to the streaming services, all sports are. So to me, it's not it's going that way. That's what sports are going. So I think baseball has some momentum here. I think there's some great stories going on. The Braves being back and being in first place and obliterating the NL East so that, the Phillies have started playing well, but still, they're what? 8 games back, 7 games back. I didn't look today. Something like that, if not worse. You got the NL Central, who nobody thought everybody was going to be above 500, is above 500 now. You got the Padres ahead of the Dodgers, and the American League is wide open. So you have some really good stories here, but this is going to be the overriding story now, Alan, as we all know, is the contract negotiations. So,
yeah, it's going to be like that. And I mean, having preliminary talks are good, but as Jonathan was saying earlier, if they're not coming together more and more often, if they're not gaining any ground on each other, it's not any kind of positivity whatsoever.
Alan, my hope is this: if we hear something like they're progressing a little bit, then maybe they'll put this timetable off and they'll stay at the table. But if we hear at the All-Star break they have not gotten anything settled or anything done, and there's been no progress, then I think we're in a lot of trouble in terms of having baseball next year.
100% agreed. So, I don't know. A lot of things have been obviously happening this past week. You mentioned your.
Can we talk about Wemby right now? Can we talk about Wemby right now?
Oh, no. Dear God, no.
Okay.
Not right now. Not right now. I'm done with
LSU, Oklahoma baseball, Scott.
Oh yeah. Are they playing in the tournament? Is this
they played last night.
Who won?
LSU.
Oh my God,
Alan, what do you got to say, Alan?
I mean, it's the one of the 3 absolutes in life: death, Texas, and LSU beating Oklahoma in baseball.
I'm telling you, LSU is going to get in the tournament. Regionals is going to cause some problems there.
They have to win the tournament, though. They have to win the SEC tournament to get in. That's the only way.
I think they can.
Oh, well,
you don't think
so? It would be funny is if they get into regional with Kansas.
Beat them?
We don't have the pitching this year. We don't have the pitching. I don't think we're gonna win tonight. We've got Auburn tonight. We don't have the pitching.
What would give you? Would the Auburn win give you hope tonight, Jonathan? They can get there.
No, because if we beat Auburn, we got to play A&M, and as up and down as A&M's been the last few weeks. Their pitching is going to be fresh. LSU is the most. Talking about disappointing earlier, they're the most disappointing pitching staff in college baseball. There's so much arm talent with that group. There is so much it's filth among filth. I mean, they threw Grant Fontenot, who he wasn't supposed to start last night. He gets to start and pitches phenomenal. It's the most frustrating thing that you see in college baseball is the LSU talent. I mean, they're on pitching, but they completely underwhelmed throughout the season. So, as much as you could say, well, hey, if they get hot, maybe. I just don't know if they have enough in them to do that and get there because now William Schmidt, who's their exciting sophomore pitcher, he's probably out for the postseason or for the tournament because of back spasms. So you're losing a starter from there. I don't know who. I think they're going to go Casey Evans tonight, but he's been up and down. So I don't see us having the run that we need to win the SEC, even though I think we are. Potentially the more talented pitching team, pitching team in the SEC, they just completely underwhelmed and underperformed. And I just think that's what's going to hurt them in the long run. I don't know if they get past Auburn tonight.
Yeah, I think
that in about 10 minutes. So,
yeah.
You see, I'm not sold on Florida. for the last 2 years, Florida, they've been really good at times, but then they've been really bad at other times, like inconsistent bad. So I think Florida's really good, but I can't count on them to go through an SEC tournament and win the whole thing. They're just too inconsistent to me. It's great, and then the hitting goes away, or vice versa. So
this will be the year that no SEC team, like the I'll go all the way to Omaha. The championship will not the championship series will not have an SEC team in it. Not this year.
Omaha Final Eight won't have an SEC.
No, you'll have an SEC team in Omaha.
Okay,
you will,
but the championship series won't have a.
It won't be an SEC team. No, I think there's too much parity among the SEC that there was not a wow team like we had last year with LSU. You had with Tennessee a couple of years ago. You had Ole Miss. You had the LSU team in 2023 with Skeens and Cruz. Like you haven't. There's not a wow. There's not a wow team in the SEC. And yes, the hot team always does win. One of these teams can get hot, but if you have a hot team and the most talented team, you're gonna go on the run to win the whole thing. I don't see that being the case this year. That I don't see an SEC team that is loaded or talented enough that can be above everybody else to just go run through everything. I don't see it this year. Georgia's probably the closest thing to that in the SEC. I don't trust Texas enough to have them be the team. They're too up and down. A&M, I said A&M was the favorite in my eyes to win the SEC and make that run to the College World Series. I've had some concerns over the last few weeks on how they've played with it. I don't see, and that's again, Georgia's probably the closest. But even them, I'm not sold on them being that talented team that just gets hot on top of it and makes that deep run.
I mean, would you agree? We've seen Oklahoma play really well and then fall off a little. We've Georgia, Vanderbilt, Florida, A&M. We've seen teams step up. LSU has played well at times, and at other times they've just, gone backwards. That's what I've seen from SEC is one team goes up, then they come down, and the next team comes up.
Sure.
They go down, the next team comes up.
It's like that's where Georgia's been the team. Georgia's been the most consistent of the SEC teams,
right?
Just because again they do pitch really well. That lineup is stacked. They've had few times they've been stopped, but they play good baseball and they do the little things. So they would be the favorite SEC team to make a run. I just don't see them as that head and shoulders talented team above everybody else in the tournament that can hold a Coastal Carolina that's hot in the that last year they were the hot team running into LSU, and LSU was like, yeah, you're hot, but we're better than you. I don't see Georgia being that, and I don't. So when you come across a team like UCLA, who we've talked UCLA, they at times probably haven't played anybody really. But we know that they're talented and they can be hot at the same time too. They do things really well. That could be a tough team in the tournament when you go into Omaha. I think there is some concerns if you're the SEC as far as, is this a year where the SEC just gets completely shut out in the championship series? I think it is.
Yeah.
Is Arkansas playing Texas since they won against Tennessee, or did that winner playing somebody else? Because
no, Texas. You're talking tomorrow. I think so. Yes, I think they play Texas tomorrow.
Okay, because like you said, the winner of y'all's game plays Texas A&M, right? Yes. Okay, so that would mean that Arkansas would be playing Texas.
More likely,
because tomorrow you've got Mississippi State, Georgia, and Florida and Alabama.
Yes.
Going at it in the SEC. So
off the SEC, George Mason and Davidson, 9 a.m. tomorrow, first pitch. Holy moly! You got to be up by 5:30 just to get ready. Holy jeez, 9:30.
What is this? An NFL game in Australia?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Alan.
So that means pregame BPs at first the designated home team first game BPs at 6:30. visiting team, their BP starts at 7:15, 7:30.
Wow. Wow.
Now they're probably what they're probably going to do is they won't hit on the. They probably just say, "Hey, we're not going to hit on the field that early. Just give us an extra hour." So we'll show up at 7:30 and go use the cage. We'll get up. We'll show up at 7:30 to use the cage, and then the next team will show up at 8 and use the cage to get ready for pregame BP pregame work that way. But that's usually how it'd be. If you're 9 o'clock game, you're taking on field BP at 6:30. The next team's doing it at 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
At least Boston College has a 3 o'clock game tomorrow, and not a 8 a.m. game.
Who are they playing tomorrow, Scott? Who's Boston
Miami,
College
Florida.
playing? Miami.
Yeah. BC's
Miami won big today, too. So.
Yeah, BC's pitching is really good. Their offense sometimes leaves a lot, but they're in. They're going to get into regionals, and that's as far as they've gone in the past. So, D1 baseball has projected regionals for all these. So.
And they're usually really good as far as how coming to it. Kendall Rogers. Kendall Rogers is the main writer for D1 baseball. He does a really good job.
Yeah, he does. He does. I follow that all year long. That's how I get some of my stuff on, like the Big Ten, or the small like Coastal Carolina. I've been in Coastal all year long. I think Coastal's really good. People sleep on them every time. I don't know why.
I think this is. I don't see them making a deep run this year though. Their pitching.
I think
has
they'll
been
get to the Supers, but I kind of think that's where they'll stall because they'll get put in the wrong bracket, and that'll be it for them. So
their pitching has not been as good as it was last year.
No, and they've struggled down the stretch here. There's another team they've lost some games down the stretch here that they had no business losing. So they'll be in trouble.
Any shock at all, Jonathan, about Kansas in the Big 12 and how good of a season they've had? I know Tanner's probably watching the show. Obviously, we've talked about how bad the Royals are, but
how those Royals doing this weekend?
Looking at the schedule here, Kansas would play. Actually, they would play the winner of BYU Baylor, which I believe BYU is leading them right now. So they would play that the winner of that game tomorrow at the 3:30 time.
I mean, yeah, there is obviously a surprise because you're talking about baseball programs that are not they're not known to be competitive, and that's Kansas, and what they've done as far as changing how they've recruited, how they've scouted, and it's beneficial to a program like Coastal Bend here, we're being a junior college program. They're looking at it and saying, well, hey, look, Kansas is not going to get to the transfer portal to go get these big name guys like a lot of these other schools are going to. So we're going to go after junior college guys that in today's era, we tell these kids all the time, and I tell these kids that I recruit, this is the era of JUCO. You get these talented kids that just come in and they're going to be plug and play guys now, whereas those Big 12, the SEC, the Big 10, the ACC, they're going to try to go get these guys who've been at other programs and try to plug them in. The high school guys get forgotten about, and they sit and they end up transferring out. So if you go to a junior college, if you're a talented kid, you go JUCO, you play, you get better. Then by a year or two, you transfer out, and you're ready to go. Which we come in our conference, we faced off against guys who are at A&M or Texas Tech or Arkansas or Oklahoma or who are going to those schools because of what they've done at the competition level at the junior college that we come across at. So they have looked at it. Kansas has looked at it and say, there's a lot of talented guys at the junior college level. Let's go recruit those guys instead of trying to go get the top talented kids in the portal and compete with those other schools that have the money that we don't have. We'll go to the JUCO ranks, go get talented kids, bring in high school kids to kind of mesh with it, and now we have a system in play with how we scout and recruit that can build us to be competitive in what is a weak conference in the Big 12. It's not the same as what it was when you had Oklahoma and Texas in the Big 12. This is not the same. Texas Tech has had a down year this year. Houston had a down year this year to their standards and expectations. TCU's been decent. So you're talking about the right year, the right time, and the timing of everything for Kansas that worked out for them. It's right there in line for us. So how they've gone about their program to build it has been phenomenal. And there's a lot of people that I've talked with here in the junior college world that is like this. this is the world that you need to be living in if you're a top program that doesn't have the NIL money like LSU and Texas and A&M and Oklahoma and so on, that you go get these guys that are grinded out guys in the junior college ranks that play top level competition. We see guys throwing 95 to 97 miles an hour in JUCO.
Yeah.
They don't. You go to some of these Big 12 schools, they don't have guys that are throwing 95, 96 on a regular basis. So it's one of those things where these guys are just as prepared and ready for that next level, and then when they get there, they take off and excel. So I'm not. Is there a surprise? Is Kansas is doing it? Yes, but is it a surprise of how they've gone about to do it? No, there's not a lot of surprise, and it's working beautifully. That you're going to see, especially with the roster limits. Again, this is basically giving you all my recruiting pitch right now, with how the roster sizes in Division I are shrinking, with how money is being divided up with a lot of these other schools and what they're trying to go after. The junior college baseball world is at an all-time high right now. And I think you're going to start seeing more D1, more Power 4 schools go into the JUCO ranks just as much because they know it won't cost them money.
Right.
You're not throwing a ton of NIL money at these JUCO kids. You can go get them for basically for nothing other than a baseball scholarship. And then you can throw some money at them later on if they prove it, but you're not having to throw a contract at them immediately to say, come here. So if that's the case, why not explore the JUCO world a little bit more? And Kansas is ahead. They're ahead of the game right now. Now, it's not, like I said, because of what they're doing, you will see more schools go after JUCO kids, which benefits programs like us, programs like that we compete against and whatnot around the country. There's so much good baseball in junior college. There is, and I think the baseball world is in college as a whole. The D1 level schools, they're going to start really going after them more now, just because of the benefits that you have. These guys are battle tested early. They grow and mature, and it costs them little to nothing on NIL money.
Yep. I did look it up, Scott. If you do beat Miami, you get the winner of Virginia and Georgia Tech, I believe, in the next game after.
Which Georgia Tech polished off BC in a big way. So I do not want to see Georgia Tech in the semis. I would rather see Virginia, because I think Virginia, the whole key with Boston College this year is pitching. It's not the hitting, it's the pitching. They've shut teams down this year. They have a really good pitching staff. Now, can that compete at the regional levels against maybe like an Oregon State, who I saw that they might be in that regional? I don't know. Can it compete against an SEC school? Probably not, I would say, because SEC schools have really good lineups and they can hit the ball. So, good pitching stops good hitting. We all know that. We've heard that axiom. But I'm just not sure at the college level if you can get in the regionals and super regionals and stop.
Scott, I need to invite you coming down here to some of our games, because as a hitting
I've seen
coach,
the scores. There's a lot of good hitting in neck of the woods. So
good in our conference, and as the hitting coach here, we've proven it. Good hitting can beat some good pitching.
Oh, no doubt. But the axiom that people put out.
No, I know, and I'm playing into it, but at the grand scheme of baseball, correct. Good pitching will always win when it matters at that point.
But there is.
I just know for us, speaking for Coastal Bend here, we faced off this past season against nine of the top 15 pitchers in junior college.
Yeah,
and we averaged 9 runs a game.
Oh, jeez.
Sheesh.
We've averaged 9 runs a game against those top pitchers, and a handful of them only lasted 3 innings.
Who's the hitting coach down at Coastal Bend? Any idea?
Yeah, it's great. We all have had success at the different levels this year. Jonathan, obviously, these Braves are doing well. Scott, Boston College has been great in college this year.
Yep.
My alma mater in high school just won a national state championship last week. So congrats to the Mustang Broncos on that. First championship in a while. I mentioned Kansas earlier because it was their first outright Big 12 title since 1947, I believe, right, Scott? Something along those lines.
It's been a long time. Kansas baseball is not mentioned at all usually. So, yeah, this is this the outlier though? That's the question. Can they come back and do it again?
Right.
You know, we see these programs get really good and have a really great year, and then the question is, can he come back and do it again? So
wanted to give a real quick shout out because obviously, Jonathan, we mentioned before, softball super regionals are about to start here pretty soon. Looking at the matchups here, Alabama, LSU in one regional. So you got the SEC matchup there. Another SEC matchup with Mississippi State against Oklahoma. You got Central Florida, who busted the Tallahassee regional, and they're taking on LSU. Texas Tech taking on Florida in that regional, the super regional. Duke playing Arkansas in that super regional. Another SEC matchup with Georgia, Tennessee, Arizona State, Texas, and then kind of a low-key good matchup, Nebraska, Oklahoma State. I kind of like that matchup a lot because both of those teams have been playing really good softball lately this year.
I will admit I don't follow softball as closely as I should, except that Oklahoma's won what?
I don't have a choice because I don't have a choice, Scott, because I work with a bunch of Texas fans now, and they're all they kind of like religiously watch softball, so it's like I kind of have to now. And again, like literally, the stadium is 2 miles that way.
I do know that the Central Florida breaking up that bracket was a huge thing because there's not a lot of times where one of these mid-major schools get to this point at least. So kudos to those young women for doing what they did. But I see this as being an SEC Final Four.
You essentially had two teams. Arizona State knocked off Texas A&M too as well.
But we look at Arizona State as a Power 4 conference team. So
I mean, Central Florida is still in the Big 12, so that's technically still a Power 4 team.
Yeah, but I don't know if we look at Central Florida the same way we look at an Arizona State. So, but kudos to those young ladies for doing what they did. But I still think in the end it's going to be Oklahoma, LSU. You know, it's going to be an SEC heavy Final Four in Oklahoma City. I think they still play. So that's what I would think.
Well, to Central Florida, I know the coach over at Central Florida had a few conversations. Coach Malone, Cindy Malone, she's done a great job over there. She's got to see from where they were, it's a mid-major program and being part of seeing them as a Big 12 program. She's done a phenomenal job. So kudos to her and congratulations for UCF. I agree. I think you're going to I'm hoping for Nebraska because, again, Jordy Ball, I think she's a senior this year. This is her last opportunity to in what she's accomplished when she was at Oklahoma and had the knee injury when she transferred to Nebraska. Now she gets a chance to potentially go back to Oklahoma City as a pitcher for Nebraska. I think she's still there. I think I could be wrong if I remember correctly.
I believe she is. I think she is still there in Nebraska.
Okay.
So.
You have Texas Tech, which has done again with Najee Kennedy over there and Jerry Glasgow. They've done a great job with what they've been able to do.
They were the World Series final last year.
They were. So they're
knocked off Oklahoma. Got to the World Series final last year.
So they're going to be a team that's going to be a force, in the Super Regionals potentially going to Oklahoma City. I think Tennessee's, which they've been the number one or they've been one of the top teams throughout the year. They're fireball pitcher that's basically almost throws 80 miles an hour, which is sick to think of.
Especially in softball because that thing will hurt.
Yeah,
for sure.
80 miles an hour from 43 feet that's insane. So I couldn't imagine and trying to hit that. But they've been loaded and they've been really good all year. I think you got to put them into the conversation of the favorite to win the Women's College World Series. LSU, Bama. I'm hoping it's for especially for Coach Tarina at LSU. Like they need it. She needs to get over the hump. She's been into the Super Regionals a handful of times in her career. She's been, obviously been to regionals, hosted regionals, been knocked out of the regionals at home for quite a few times in her career. You got to get over the hump, get past it, and get to Oklahoma City if you're Tarina at some point, especially with a new AD in Verge Osbury, who he was not the one who hired you. You got to do something that's going to be enticing for him to say, we got to keep Tarina there. Because she's built something great. She has, but she's also been underwhelming at times in how she's built the team and just with the amount of talent they've had not being able to make it to Oklahoma City and contend for a championship. That's where you got to look at it and say, at some point, does Verge Osbury as the AD say, I got to go get somebody better? Because he's already done it with the football team and he's already done it with the basketball team. At some point, he's going to look at the softball program and go, you haven't won. I got to go find somebody who has. Yeah. The only one who is safe, there's two coaches in the whole program of the athletic department in LSU that is safe from any of that ridicule or criticism. Obviously, Jay Johnson won 2 national titles. Jay Clark, the gymnastics coach, he's won a national title, and they were number 2 this year in gymnastics. Those are the only really, and Kim Mulkey. I'll make sure I add Kim Mulkey to it too because she also won a national title. They're the only ones that are actually safe with Osbury, who's not the one who hired them. Tarina's got to get over the hump. So I think this is a very must-win super regional for her as the head coach of LSU softball. You cannot count out Oklahoma. I think they're obviously gonna. I think we should all expect that they're going to make it to Oklahoma City and be one of the top teams to go and run that part of the tournament as well. And I think you could actually even see Tennessee, Oklahoma. Tennessee, Oklahoma, I could think you could look at it and say that is the final. That could be the final. I think you could really say Texas Tech in there too. You can't go wrong with that. And again, you have to include Texas. This could be, if it plays out the way it could, this could probably be the most star-studded Women's College World Series when it comes to, again, like I said, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, LSU, Bama, one of those two. Like, this would be a loaded Final 8 in Oklahoma City.
So looking at it right here, we could potentially see a bracket of LSU, UCLA, Texas Tech, Oklahoma in one bracket, depending on who comes out of that. And then the other bracket would be, probably like Arkansas, Tennessee, either Nebraska or Oklahoma State, and Texas.
I mean, we've seen it this year. I followed it a little bit. Oklahoma hasn't been the dominant team that they have been in the past. They have, they've been really good.
Other than the one freshman who's hit like 35 home runs this year.
Yeah. So to me, any of those teams that Alan just mentioned could be one of the teams that gets to the final, to the championship series.
Yeah. We have two game ones playing tomorrow. We got Georgia, Tennessee playing tomorrow, and we got Texas, I believe, Nebraska, Oklahoma State play tomorrow, and then everybody else starts their games on Friday. So
on Friday, so yeah, they'll go on every other day, so to speak, at this point. So yeah, to me, it's going to be fascinating to see who gets to Oklahoma City and who are the teams that are there, because I just think it's going to be an SEC sort of tournament, as Jonathan mentioned, Tennessee, Oklahoma. I'm hoping Central Florida gets there. I would love to see Central Florida get there, and I'd love to see LSU for Jonathan's.
Central Florida gets it. That's a tough bracket to get out of if you're Central Florida, though, because it would be LSU, Oklahoma, and it would not potentially Texas Tech too out of that bracket. That would be hard to get out of.
You win and you get to where you want to get to, hopefully, and then you look around and say, "Oh my God, look at these teams." So, I mean, they're not going to be starstruck. They're going to go in there and scrap and fight, but it's going to be tough for them to get through. So, that's what I would say.
Yeah. One last baseball update before we end off here tonight, fellas. Guardians and Tigers have gone into extras, bottom of the 10th. Guardians actually lead now. They're up 3-1. They were down 1-0 earlier, but they're now up 3-1 in extras. Sorry, Scott. Royals are up 3-2 on the Red Sox right now.
Jeez. Thanks, Al. Well, I'm wearing Royals colors tonight, so I'm trying to do an Allen.
Oh, good.
Um,
Don't do that.
I will say this about the Tigers: since Skubal got injured, they've been dreadful. They're just dreadful.
From Fromber Valdez to the entire hitting core.
They've been just so bad. It's really their best bet would be hopefully Skubal comes back and then they can package him in a trade somehow and get something back for him. Because he's not going to sign with Detroit again. I don't think he's gone. So
no, when arbitration gets as ugly as it did with him and the Tigers as it did in the offseason, you're not going to be there. So they were hoping to be a contender, let him play it out, and then go from there. I agree. I think he will get traded when the deadline gets close by. It's a matter of how healthy he is, and then who wants to make that move for him as a rental for what? Because again, he's going to be a free agent. He's not signing an extension. He'll be a free agent. It's just a matter of what team. Dodgers, Yankees. Maybe I could see the Yankees just saying, "Hey, we need a starting pitcher, especially if this say Max Fried is out for longer than what he might be with the elbow issue that he has. You need a lefty pitcher. The Yankees will eat that and say, "Hey, we'll trade some prospects for at least 3 months or 2 months of Tarek Skubal." I think you're limiting to what you could see out there, especially again. You go down the list. Braves aren't going to go trade for somebody like that. They're not going to trade. They don't going to trade prospects for a rental. So you don't think the Braves? So you eliminate the Braves. Cubs, if they're within 2 games of the Brewers, I could see the Cubs make the deal. I could see that.
Yeah.
Brewers wouldn't. Padres maybe. If they're within the Dodgers, they want to try to make a move to at least help their pitching staff out to jump the Dodgers. I could see the Padres. American League wise, I don't think there's anybody in the American other than the Yankees. I think the Yankees would be the only team in the American League that could actually pull that move off. So you're looking at a National League team that would probably say that.
Here's a fascinating thing that just popped into my head now that you said American League, and then I got to hop on. Would the Rays, for a rental, take a shot on him if they think they can win a division?
No, because that goes against what they are. That goes against their own. So I could see them not. They don't want to trade the prospects. They don't,
that would be highly interesting, wouldn't it? If the Rays departed from their normal.
I could see them going after someone like Sandy Alcantara.
Yeah.
But not Skubal. Skubal does not fit the personality of the Rays.
No, I agree. But to say we could take the Yankees down this year, let's go get the best pitcher one of the best pitchers on the planet.
If that's the case, if that's the MO of the Rays saying that we need someone to say, then you go call Miami and say, hey, what do we need to do to get Alcantara to Tampa?
Yeah, that's what I would think. But just popped into my head. I was wondering.
Yeah. All right, Scott, where can the people find you at? I know obviously you've gone through a lot. We kind of mentioned you at the beginning of the show. Again, thoughts and prayers to you and your wife and your family as well as you guys go through this.
So SJ Code 1 is my Twitter. Thank you. Whit reached out earlier. People in Rec Room, you guys, some the LTS guys have too. Just well wishes. That's all it's going to take right now. Well wishes. My wife has a form of leukemia that needs to be treated with a stem cell transplant. And right now, the chemo's not going well. So I may be on some shows. I'm going to try to make as many shows as I can. No guarantees you're going to see me until that gets better. They pushed the stem cell treatment off right now because the chemo hasn't gone well. So that's my sort of life right now. But SJ Code 1 Twitter. I'm on Around the Diamond. I always forget this name of the new show, Around the Diamond. baseball show. ESPN Radio, I'm hoping to get on for a segment or two tomorrow afternoon, 6:90 in Jacksonville. Give that a listen. Alan's on there. I'm on there. Bobby, Jay, when he's not traveling on the road, and Whit is the head of it all. Phenomenal show to listen to. LTS Fall Start Thursdays on Thursday nights, and then lock it in on Saturdays. We I think we got back on track a little bit here this weekend and last weekend too. So we're watch us, give us a try. Watch the baseball show, stuff like that. It's been growing and growing. So on the Rec Room Sports Network. So that's where I'll be.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully.
Jonathan, where can the people find you at?
And I'm on Twitter, Facebook, on Twitter at Grishman. I keep calling it Twitter. I don't want to call it X. I've still been calling it Twitter. So, but at Grishman27, you kind of see a lot of the journey that I'm going to be here. I got a few more. I got about 4 or 5 days before I start really traveling around over the next month, and I'll be in Dallas. I'll be in Houston next week. I'll go to Houston, Dallas, back to Houston, starting on Tuesday through Sunday. I'll travel again to Dallas next the week after that, then back to Houston. I'll be making my trips to Houston, your favorite city, Alan. Every weekend, recruiting, umpiring, working as much as I can over the next 4 weeks. So it's gonna be a busy time for me and whatnot. This is the fun time too. Recruiting is always fun, and right now I'm still finishing up our roster for the 2026 season. I got a handful more spots. I got to find pitchers. That's really all I'm looking for at this point now for this upcoming season. But I'm also now on top of the 2027 class too. So it's now and the future for our program here pretty soon. And it's going to be, again, busy time. I'll be all over the place. I'm going to be exhausted when it's all said. And I think throughout June, I'll be in Beeville for only 4 days, the entire month. So it's going to be a wild ride for me here the next couple of weeks, but looking forward to it. A lot of fun. I told you a little bit. I did book my trip, my birthday trip to the Dominican. I bought the ticket is purchased. I'm ready to go. I will be enjoying out the beaches in Dominican Republic and having a lot of fun out there for my birthday. I'm excited for it. My first time ever going to the DR. So it's gonna be a lot of fun on that. I did that today. I got my ticket for go. So 1 month from now, I'll be on a beach with a pina colada in my hand.
It's gonna be a fun time. You can find me at April30 on Twitter, also on TikTok as well. I don't usually do much posting on social media, especially not nowadays, because I've just been working nonstop. Especially the last 3 days. We've been doing a lot of overtime the last 3 days. It's been wearing me out, but I love it. I love the job I get to do. So it's been a fun time. I will be a little bit more active, especially on TikTok once the NFL season starts to come up, because obviously I'm going to be posting a lot about the Cowboys and whatnot as that season comes to pass. And then, of course, I now live a couple miles from the football stadium, which means I might have to go to an OU game here pretty soon, seeing as how it's literally right there. So it's been nice. Norman's been nice. I think I made a good decision in moving down here, because I've loved it so far. And may actually get to go to the Cowboys home opener this year, which would be my first Cowboys game. So I can't wait for that potentially. So other than that, life's been great. As Scott mentioned, check out the Rec Room Sports radio show tomorrow evening, tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern, I believe. Yes, 4 p.m. Eastern to 6 p.m. Eastern. It's a 2-hour show. Usually talk anything from NBA. We throw a little bit of baseball here and there. We'll be talking a little bit about the NFL schedule, of course, that just recently came out last week, and a bunch of other stuff as well. We've got a lot usually lined up and planned. Obviously, ESPN 690 in Jacksonville, or you could catch it live on this channel as we broadcasted on the network here. So you can either watch the YouTube video or you can listen to us on the radio, depending on what you want to do. Tanner, myself, and probably Scott on Saturday as well with Lock It In on the weekends, which is our betting show. So I don't think either of us had a good weekend last weekend. So we might have to have a little get together on that with the show Saturday. But yeah, a lot of good baseball being played right now.
You know, you. I just want to pinpoint one thing that I've noticed, and I was waiting to see at some point. You know, when we talk about score updates and whatnot, you left out the Braves.
Oh no, they won 9-1. It's not that important. It's the Marlins. The thing I forgot to mention though was that Chris Sale was pitching tonight, which of course I'm sure Scott's very happy about.
Braves
and the Guardians did win, by the way. Braves won, Guardians won. Nationals beat the Mets, so that also helps the Braves. Red Sox.
So I mean,
it's the
Mets.
The
Braves division lead is back to 9 games over the Phillies and Nationals. So that's they still got the biggest lead in all of baseball in the division. They are still the best record in baseball as well. And also winning tonight, I think they were 34-16 now, I believe. That is the second best record in 50 games in franchise history.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Tampa Bay is actually 1 game behind them right now, 33-15. So that's even crazier right now. Apparently, nobody between the Red Sox and Royals want to win that game because now Boston leads 4-3. So that's the thing. And Cubs continue to struggle. Brewers lead that 5-0. Pirates and Cardinals. Pirates lead 2-0 over the Cardinals right now. They have the bases loaded, nobody out in a situation like that. Dodgers got off hot starting against the Padres. Ohtani hit a home run in the leadoff home run in the first inning. It's 2-0 there. Blue Jays and Yankees did kick off, so they are playing baseball tonight. It just started a little bit ago. It's in the second inning. And then the final game of the night, the A's and the Angels are about to kick off here pretty soon. They're in warm-ups right now. But yeah, and then of course, I did mention the Rangers. So yeah, we did win today. I believe we have the Angels. We have the day off tomorrow, and we have the Angels for a weekend series starting Friday. So that'll be an interesting series. Texas has got to take advantage of these lesser teams and get back into this conversation. I know Seager's out, I know Langford's out, but you've got guys who have kind of stepped up and have hit well here. Duran's hit well the last few games. Obviously, Josh Young's been great so far this year. Jake Berger's been playing pretty well. Brandon Nimmo, please stay healthy for the love of God. I know you left today's game, but please, for the love of God, stay healthy. But yeah, that's just been. Anything else, Jonathan?
I'll throw this out there because I know this is a baseball show, but we do talk about other sports. I want to, being an Arsenal FC fan as I've been the last few years. Arsenal, after 22 years, has claimed the Premier League championship with Manchester City's tie yesterday against Bournemouth. So I have been enjoying celebrating. I had some celebratory champagne last night for Arsenal's Premier League championship. So congratulations to all Arsenal fans, myself, and all the ones that are out there around the world. I've been enjoying watching videos of people celebrating the Premier League championship won by Arsenal. So I want to throw that out there. Like I said, I probably may open my other bottle of champagne just because, again, to enjoy cheering on my teams. Then when they win, I get to enjoy that as well. So it's been fun. I've loved watching Arsenal for the last few years, and since I went to a match in 2023 in England. So it's been a lot of fun, and getting to see them win a championship. It's been great. So just a little note out there: Arsenal winning the Premier League for the first time in 22 years.
A lot of history being made. Would love for that to happen in the NFL this year, but we can't have all what we want. Although Knicks fans might see it happen this year, who knows? Anyway, anything else, Jonathan, before we end off tonight?
All good here, man.
All righty, guys. Thank you so much for joining us again. You can see the show every Wednesday night, usually around 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If not, we usually try to find a day to where we can all get together, usually on a Friday, and do the show then. But for the most part, we're able to get it down pat. We'll try to do it weekly, but if we can't, please bear with us, because obviously recruiting, working, and Scott obviously dealing with a lot. So we'll try to make it work, but if please understand if we don't. Just saying. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have a wonderful night. Bye, Spotify. Have a great night. Take care. We'll be back next week. Later.